We're going to be going over 15 sneaky start players for week 4. And what we always do here is we go game by game, matchup by matchup, and try to pick that jabroni player who exceeds expectations. Not every game's going to have a jabroni who scores more fantasy points than expected. But the objective here is to look at the game script here and see how things could break and see how things could help a player out who's seen a little bit less targets, who is the wide receiver 2, RB2, or whatever in that offense, who might get more opportunity than expected because the game script broke a little bit or the targets were funneled in a certain way. I know a lot of you guys got lineup questions for this week. You need help setting your lineups. You got a lot of questions going on. Drop those in the comments below, and I'll help every single one of you between Saturday night and Sunday morning. I'll answer all your guys' questions. Drop the questions below in the comments section. Make sure you hit that like button, and you need to hit that subscribe button right now because we're doing deep dives on all these players off the waiver wire almost every day. We're helping you set those lineups. We're helping you with trades and everything else. We're going over the advanced metrics that are hard to find, and it's always right here. Hit that subscribe button. Stop missing out. But let's start with these 15 sneaky starts, these jabronis that we're looking at for week 4. And we're going to start things off with the Atlanta Falcons at the Jacksonville Jaguars because this is overseas. This is going to be a morning game. But we're going to have some Pixar action with this one, 43 over under. But considering we're overseas, considering the Falcons have been good overseas, lighten it up a little bit, this could be a higher scoring game than expected. And this could be an interesting matchup here with the Jaguars because they can push the pace as well. That being said, our sneaky start, Mac Hollins. 4.7 targets per game, 16.5% target share. What we want to know here is he's getting a 31% share of the air yards. He is getting the deep targets. He's getting opportunities downfield. If the game script breaks and the Falcons are slinging the rock and they're not throwing it to Drake London, they're not throwing it to Kyle Pitts, and we know they like to get janky in this offense. They like to run it too much or throw it to random guys. Matt Collins might be getting some deep targets in this game. He brings a couple down. We got some fantasy production. We saw him do this with the Raiders last year. He had a few moments there. He was getting opportunity. He's that guy, that veteran wide receiver who sneaks up on depth charts and spoils our fantasy players on our teams because he'll just steal some targets away. We could see that this week at 31% target share. If this game breaks and they got to sling it downfield, he might score on you. He's a guy to think about. Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. This might be a nasty game. If the Commanders commit a lot of turnovers, this could be an ugly one to watch. 43 over under. We might hit the over here just because it gets ugly. But it could be so ugly that it gets to be a low-scoring game. The more I think about it, the uglier I see this. The Commanders have to be on fire in this game. But still, Jahan Dotson's a sneaky start here because he's still getting opportunity. 17.4% target share, 5 targets a game, 39 routes a game. With the Eagles, you can throw on them a little bit. However, they've been in some weird game scripts as well. I could see the Commanders just trying to get back in it, just trying in the back half of this game, floating some targets around. Dotson was very productive as a rookie last year when he was on the field, dealt with a lot of injuries last year. He's due, and he's running a lot of routes, about 40 routes a game there. So the opportunity's there. The targets are starting to be there. Let's see if something could go his way. With him running about 40 routes a game and him being a key contributor in a passing game, he's going to have some games where he scores some touchdowns. It's going to be hard for him to get this many targets. We got a game with 4 targets, a game with 5 targets, a game with 7 targets. It's hard for him to see this volume without seeing a touchdown. It's also hard to see this volume without reeling in a few balls, getting some yards. This might be his opportunity. Next, Ravens at the Browns. This could be another ugly one, as Deshaun Watson supposedly got hurt in practice, Njoku got hurt in practice, and we got some questions here with this team. Both teams could be slower paced, even though the Browns have been a little bit faster paced over the last few weeks. This could be a slower paced game. Both teams commanding clock here. Interesting game script because we don't have all the answers with the lineup yet. 40.5 over under. Vegas is saying, hey, this is going to be nasty as well. Also could be in the cards that it breaks. And it's a divisional matchup. Both these teams, they got some weapons. You can really see how it happens. It's tough to run on the Browns. It's tough to throw on the Browns. The Ravens as well. But we're going to go with Nelson Aguilar. He's getting a 13.1 average depth of target. He is getting the deep balls. Odell Beckham out. Rashad Bateman out. He's going to be getting opportunities as the wide receiver too. We know Zay Flowers gets the short routes, the short targets. And if they need to chuck it deep, it's going to Nelson Aguilar here. He reels one or two in. We got a big gain here. It's hard to run on the Browns, so it might be pass funnel. We also might see Lamar Jackson take off with it a few times. That might happen. Also, if Watson out, we got DTR there. That could be interesting. Nelson Aguilar, deep targets. Deep targets could lead to big fantasy points. Next, Dolphins at the Bills, 54 over under. We know what these teams are about. We know what they want to do, and we know we want to start almost everybody in this game. Anybody who's running a lot of routes, anybody who's getting touches, you're throwing them in your lineups. But who's the sneaky guy here? Latavius Murray. Bills are going to be moving the football. They're going to be trying to keep up with the Dolphins. It's going to be a fire game script. They give it to him on the goal line. Damian Harris, we thought he was going to be that guy going into the season. He might get some looks there. He might be the guy. But Murray's getting more touches per game. He's getting more opportunity. It's better in the passing game. And Murray's been scoring touchdowns. He's not due to score touchdowns. He's got back-to-back touchdowns in his last 2 games. So the odds are stacking away from that. But still, if you're looking for a jabroni, Latavius Murray could be your guy. Next, the Bucs at the Saints. And the over-under here, 39.5. Jameis Winston at quarterback. He likes to sling it deep. Loves to throw it deep. Alvin Kamara back. The Bucs can hang with you a little bit in the passing game. They like to sling it deep to Mike Evans. I see them hitting the over here. Good shot at hitting the over here. This could be a splash matchup. If you're looking for a game script that breaks in a good way for fantasy, this could be it. And as DFS gamers look at the over-under as matchups, you want to look at the lower over-unders and try to predict which one could break in the positive and get some game stacks in those tournaments. This could be a tournament stacking game, as there should be some players who are less owned, less rostered in DraftKings and FanDuel. So that's something you want to look at. I'm not surprised if this game script breaks. I'm not surprised if it's 30-35 or something like that. I'm not surprised if both quarterbacks start airing it out. I know we're going into a weird game scenario here with the quarterback out. I'm not surprised with whatever happens here. That way we're looking at Rashid Shaheed as our jabroni in this game. 19.5 average depth of target. Jameis Winston loves slinging it deep. Rashid Shaheed's in a good game script here where we could see it happen. Could be getting some deep targets here. Pushing it downfield. Kamara's back. Should be a fun one to watch. Next, Vikings at the Panthers here. 46.5 over under. Vegas does not know what to do with this game because we know the Vikings want to throw the football because that's about all they can do, but they can run a little bit. 46.5 over under. It's going to be a higher scoring game for the Panthers. They're going to be trying to keep up with the pace of the Vikings, one of the fastest paced teams in the league. 7th in pace this year, 4th in pace last year, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. In this game, we're looking at KJ Osborne. 5 targets a game, 11% target share. However, he's on the field a lot. 46 routes ran a game, 94.6 route participation rate, and a deeper ADOT at 10.3. If they chuck some deep targets his way, we're looking at fantasy points. Volume is also on his side as well. Next, Broncos at the Bears. This one is team ugly. This is almost a game of jabronis, if you want to say that. 46.5 over under, though, so we're not even in the 30s. Things could break in one way or the other. It could be a high-scoring affair as these two teams try to slapbox each other, or it could be a low-scoring scenario, Jeff Fisher-like. But in this game, we're going with Rashawn Johnson. 9 touches a game, 13 routes ran a game, getting opportunity here. And both these teams allow fantasy points to the running back position. 43 fantasy points per game by the Broncos. Those numbers are skewed by the Dolphins game last week, so don't get that too twisted, but still, that's an indication that you can do things on the ground and through the air at the running back position. So why not see what Rashawn Johnson can do? Next, Bengals at the Titans. 40.5 over under. We've seen the Titans D stifle some run defense. and that creates a pass funnel, and we see that in the numbers as well. We got Jamar Chase, we got Higgins, and we got Tyler Boyd. 6.7 targets a game. That's a good amount of targets a game. That's a good workload for a wide receiver. And we're headed into a pass funnel matchup here, and this team could really slow it down on the exterior and maybe gets a few more targets going his way as a little progression funnel. If something goes on with Chase or Higgins there, he's running about 40 routes a game. That's good. That's a good total. That's a sleeper wide receiver this week. Next, Rams at the Colts. 46 over-under. So we got an over-under here that says, hey, this game could flip either way. Take your bets. But it could be a higher scoring game because the Rams can push the pace. They can throw the football. That being said, if they're throwing the football, Colts got to keep up. We're going with a huge jabroni here. And we're going for the deep ball here. 17.2 average depth of target, as this could be funneled due to the progressions in the offense, as the Rams aren't that bad against the pass. Therefore, if it's a slow game for Michael Pittman, they still got to move it through the air, maybe they go deep. Maybe that's what happens in this game. That's why we look at these game scripts and try to galaxy brain this out. Maybe we get a game from Alec Pierce. We haven't had the big game yet. We had a couple last year. He's deep ball city. Marvin Mims-esque. And because you're running routes deep, if you catch one or two of those, big game. Next, Steelers at the Texans. Fun matchup. I'm going to be watching this one. We got Kenny Pickett. We got C.J. Stroud. We got a lot of jabronis in this game, though. They're pegged at a 42.5 over-under. We could beat that. We could beat that. This could be a banger game. This could be ugly, too, because we can see how this unfolds. If the Texans get what they want, they can slow it down, but they also love to throw the football. They love to throw the football. Vegas is really accounting for that. So if you want to bet the over, take a little gamble, maybe you want to do that. But Calvin Austin had a big week last week, but still, 5 targets a game, 15.8% target share. Fast, speedy. If you're trying to lock down George Pickens, if you got to keep up with this Texans offense, you got to sling it a little bit. Get him some shorter routes. Get him some yak. Get him some opportunity. We saw it in preseason as well. He had that big play. 27 routes a game, 71% share of the routes. He's getting opportunity. He's getting looks. He's fast. He's a splash play. Raiders at the Chargers, 40.5 over-under, and really you're starting everybody. You're starting everybody in this game. We got an interesting jabroni here because he's a big jabroni. Joshua Kelly, 13.7 touches a game, 55.8% opportunity share, and the Raiders are allowing 19.7 PPR points per game to running backs. Some of that's due to game script, though. However, look at the last 2 matchups here for the Chargers. First one, the Titans. They stifled the run game. They're a pass funnel team. Then last week against the Chargers, they had to spam targets to Keenan Allen. Because it was there, it was easy. Also to Mike Williams, it was target after target on the exterior to those guys, and they were getting air yards, and the run game wasn't there. It was getting snuffed. Now we're in an opportunity where the ball's going to be moving on both sides here, and he might give you some run back. And he's probably sitting on waivers or on the back end of a depth chart there, but this game script is a little bit different, and the opportunity is still there unless they take it away from last week. Or they want to pound it in the air because that's what the Chargers should do anyways because they got Herbert. They got some receivers still. Might as well keep throwing it. But Joshua Kelly is in a better situation. We're looking at him as a jabroni, not a must-start. Remember that. Next, Arizona Cardinals at the 49ers. Should be an ugly matchup, but the Cardinals are good and ugly. They're good in the ugly. They can really sneak things out as we saw things against the Cowboys last week. So that being said, we're going with our boy Rondale Moore, size-adjusted athleticism freak here. He can really get you the yak on the short targets. Had a good game last week, and is a guy that's had his moments throughout his career, even though he's been hurt during most of it. Also, since the Niners are tough against everything in defense, this could be a progression funnel, as you might get Marquise Brown stifled on some situations here. Maybe the run game's getting tough going. Maybe we get some short targets funneled to Rondale Moore as they try to sneak away with some yak yards. Patriots at the Cowboys, 43 over-under in this matchup. This game could be high scoring because Mac Jones can push the pace a little bit. We've seen that this year. And the Cowboys can push the pace. Also, these teams can go slow. these guys will dance with each other, and wherever it starts off or wherever it goes kind of in the middle of the second quarter, that's what you're going to get for the rest of the game. That's really my take. So it could be fireworks or snooze fest. Let's plan for that. That being said, we got a jabroni here, and it's Ezekiel Elliott. We got a revenge game here. We got Narrative Street. I don't like narratives, but he is getting 11 touches a game. He's getting red zone looks. He's seeing 25.7% share of the snaps. Those are not touches. 0 touchdowns right now with him being on the field X amount of times, with the Patriots moving the football. And if this becomes a fire game script, a fire matchup, then we might see some red zone looks for Ezekiel Elliott. Plus, he's good in pass protection. That is one of the main reasons why they brought him in. Dallas defense can get nasty at times. They may want him there. Also, he might be knowing some stuff from the previous year for blitz pickup. And again, he'll be on the field a bit. Ramondre Stevenson too. So these running backs are going to get some looks, and maybe he can cross the goal line. Next, Chiefs at the Jets. Another ugly one, but could get out of hand as well. So we might get some producers. 41.5 over under. You may want to take the over if you really want to gamble on this, just in case Chiefs go off. But it could be ugly as well. We're going with Jerick McKinnon. Progression funnel. As the Jets are good on defense and the Chiefs still want to throw the ball here, we're going to see Jerick McKinnon possibly running some routes here. He runs 14 routes a game. Doesn't sound much, but he's sharing the backfield. He's getting a 32.8% route participation rate. That's technically pretty decent for a running back, especially a guy in a committee like this. If he's getting opportunity and they need to check it down a bit, this could be a sneaky start, a sneaky play from this week, because if the wide receivers are starting to get locked down, he's open and flat, or they got some design plays, he might be getting some looks, something that nobody's really predicting. But we see that with Jerick McKinnon, usually in the back end of the seasons. Last year, the year prior, but maybe once things get a little tougher there, they break him out when the defenses are snuffing everything else out. Now we're looking at the Seattle Seahawks at the New York Football Giants. 47 over under. Probably going to be a fun one to watch. Going to be very explosive. We're going to have fantasy contributors on both sides of the ball. Both teams are going to be nasty in this one. I'm going with Wan'Dale Robinson. In his first game back last week, 5 targets, 9 routes ran. Daniel Jones saw him on the field and he was like, yes, he's back. And he got some opportunities last year. He's a very cerebral route runner, can get downfield, very productive back when he was at Kentucky. He's a reliable option. A guy sitting on waivers in all leagues pretty much, but he's got some upside. He's got a ton of upsides coming back from that devastating knee injury. Thing about that might be a slow progression coming back. He's already on the field, seeing some snaps, some routes, and he's already cashing in a little bit. He caught 4 balls. 4 of his 5 targets he caught. So that's something you want to look at. Daniel Jones likes him. Could be a sneaky jabroni for this week. Don't really want to count on him for redraft, but I would not be surprised if he's one of those sneaky players this year. But those are 15 sneaky jabronis from this week that might surprise us in their matchups. Let me know that sneaky player you're starting in the comments below. If you have any questions with your lineups, also drop those in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Catch you on the next video.